You know, it turns out I underestimated the power company's requirements here, and it's just my fault. But so a couple things are gonna have to change. One, because we use direct burial wire, and instead of going 36 inches deep like they wanted and putting in 3-inch conduit like they wanted, we can't put the meter on their pole, and we've got to include a disconnect. So luckily, one of the jobs I was doing, the guy had the 200 amp meter and disconnect, and he just gave it to me, so that's everything we need. So actually, we're not going to need this last little length of wire right here that where we originally were going to put a splice. What we're going to have to do is dig a hole over here somewhere, put the pole, and then I'm just going to have to dig a little trench to get from this trench over to our new where we set the pole. So it's a little bit more work, but it shouldn't be too bad. And I got my panel for the house and everything else, so it shouldn't be much more than a week or two before we can get the power turned back on. So that'll be nice. All right, we got our trench modified. Just gonna bring this direct burial wire over like this, sleeve it with some conduit. We got the hole here about 24 inches deep. We're gonna drop this long bastard of a pole down in there and brace it up. All right, that wasn't too bad. Took me and Mickey maybe 2 hours to get this hole dug and get the trench moved a little bit and get the wire in here. Sleeve the direct burial wire with conduit. That just goes down and then changes back to direct burial right underneath the ground there. And then of course we kind of buried in some of the trench. Got a little tired. Got a little bit more to bury, but not worried about doing it today because let's see here. I got my 200 amp meter socket here. Everything's good there. The service riser and everything like that. It's all in good condition. All I had to do was replace the weatherhead up top. That wasn't too bad because I saved myself about $225 or so by getting this for free from somebody. Still seems in good condition. The only thing it's missing is these two lugs right here. These two lugs right here that are the load side that go out to the house. The only part that's missing is it's just like this. I'm missing this actual part, the lug part of it. So that won't cost me more than $10 to fix. Get that sucker popped in there. And the only other thing I really got to do here at the pole, since this is the first point of disconnect, I'm gonna have to pound me a ground rod and ground everything from here. This is where the neutral and the ground will bond together. And unfortunately, as an oversight on my part, because I thought the meter was going to be going on the house, I didn't pull a ground wire, an equipment ground, from the house to the disconnect. So I'm going to kind of look it up. I mean, that's just a new code. I mean, it's actually not that new, but you know, maybe in the past 20 years people started doing that. And I really don't think it's going to have a problem having all the ground run over the neutral from here to the house. So I'm gonna look it up, but all in all, it's just a safety thing. So now all we've got left to do is just mount the panel on the house, and probably not today, but what I'm gonna do is just hook up a service receptacle at the house. I'd like to put a little service receptacle out here too, but I guess I still can, because there's a 200 amp main here. If I just get myself a little 20 amp breaker, put it on there, and just put me a little outlet right here, so that I'll have power here. And once I get the panel on at the house, I'm going to put an outlet on there. Then we'll be good to go, continue and proceed with construction on the house, and hopefully it'll really start jamming at that point. Okay, the next step is just going to put a connector on here, put my panel here on the house, and like I said, for now I'm just going to put a temporary outlet right here on the side of it, service outlet, and I'll be able to continue with the construction and everything. Now when I get ready to put the siding on the house, I'm not going to run any wires into the house. My panel's going to be on the outside, and that's just so that when we get ready to side the house, all I have to do is just unscrew this strap here and unscrew the panel. Of course, I'll turn the power off for that, but I can just kind of pull it back, slide the sheet of siding up in there, and screw it back on. So that's what we'll do now. Well, that wasn't too bad. The only problem is I decided to go with a 125 amp panel, even though I've got a 200 amp service running over here, just because I honestly don't think we're ever going to use more than 125 amps here in a tiny house. I mean, 200 amp service, like, that's big enough for a 3-story house. So I did have to trim the wires a little bit to get these 4-aughts to fit in a 2-aught lug there. So that derated the amperage on it a little bit, but like I said, it's got 125 amp breaker protecting it right here, so should still be good. Now all I need to do is just add a service plug here and a service plug over there, and put the ground rod in, and we can get the power hooked up. Today I'm about, I'd say 90% done with the electrical service. I've got the feeder running into the panel, I've got the panel hooked up, meter can ready to go. Got me a service outlet there on the side of it. All that's really left is I've got to finish grounding, so I'm gonna have to drive a ground rod and bring the ground wire into the panel. And today I'm also gonna add a receptacle at the panel on the house, so I'll have some temporary power there while I'm working on things and getting things finished being constructed down there. So just got a couple more little steps to go, and then I can call up the power company and get some juice back out here. It'll be a nice day when that happens. Whew. Shit. Well, by code, should have a 8-foot long copper plated grounding electrode buried down all the way into the ground. I got it down, started hitting some rock at about 3-foot depth, was able to pound it inch by inch, so I'd say I've got about 6 foot now in contact with the earth, and I've gotten down about as far as these post hole drivers will this post hole driver here let me go. So in the past, I have cut off the grounding electrode and filed it down to make it look like you didn't cut it off. Don't like doing that, but this is grounded, okay? It's already in contact with rock. It's like embedded in the rock at this point, so I don't know if I'm gonna get much deeper. I'm gonna try to whack it a couple times with the sledgehammer now, but that's always tricky because this thing moves around so much. I'm gonna get it down, drip down as far as I can, and then we'll just have to cut it off. If you can't leave it sticking up like this, it's pretty obvious that you didn't get it in there all the way. But it's actually pretty common practice in these parts because it's so rocky, especially like out right on the lake. I mean, the rocks are on top of the ground. I mean, you don't even have to go down. At least here I had a good 2 or 3 feet of good soil. So, yeah, I'm just basically trying to convince myself that it'll be all right. And, yeah, once I get this in there and get it cut off, that's the last step. So, yeah, we'll just give it a couple whacks. Woo! All right. Took quite a bit of extra muscle power, but I got it in there. The whole damn thing. Didn't even have to cut it, which is good because I don't have a battery-powered Sawzall right now, and we'd have to figure something out to get it cut off anyways. So, now all that's left to do is just run these ground wires, and I'll be good to go here. Bada bing, bada boom. Got my ground from my meter can up there. Got my ground going to my panel here. Got ground going to the ground rod. Ground going to the ground rod. And it's all bonded together right there. This is officially code approved. Now let's go to the house and tie up the loose ends over there. I've basically got everything wrapped up here. Like I said, this is just going to be for temporary power right now. I obviously still have to put the siding on behind the house, but I just wanted to have power all the way back here to the house so that I can finish the construction process. So what I'm going to do is add a receptacle, probably here on the bottom. We'll see where it works out the easiest. Just put a GFI receptacle in there with the in-use cover, and that way I can run some saws and compressors and everything else back here. Bada bing, bada boom. That's kind of what I had in mind right there. I actually like this panel. Just getting a good review from me because these are nice. These are little soft plastic insulating deals that pop right on your mains right there, so you don't get tangled up in those suckers. That's actually a pretty nice application. I like that. I really do like Square D panels. They're probably my favorite brand that I've worked with over the years. Now, the one thing that the experienced among you may be noticing is I don't have this ground conductor hooked up yet. I forgot that this panel did not come with any type of a ground bus, so I've still got, or a ground bar, so I've actually still got to get one of those. But as far as anyone's concerned, I've got an outlet here at the house, and I've got an outlet out there at the disconnect. Everything's kosher. The only thing that I will say here on the internet for everyone to see, but that I wish I didn't have to, is I got this 3-conductor service cable because my original plan was that I was going to put the meter here on the house, and so I wouldn't have needed an extra conductor for the ground. But after chatting with the PSO engineer, he said that I was definitely going to have to put the first point of disconnect out there on the meter. So I'm one wire short. I should have an equipment grounding conductor running from this box here to my ground rod that I drove back there. But I'm not too worried about it. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I'm just going to bond the ground and the neutral right here. Everything should still be safely grounded. There's not going to be any unsafe conditions arising from that. That I can perceive. Maybe some of you will know something that I don't, but it's been like this for a long time, to where, I mean, back in the day they didn't ever used to run a separate grounding conductor. So, but you know, I don't know. I'm okay with it right now. I'll do some research. I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. What you definitely don't want to do is you don't want to drive another grounding electrode here and have 2 different points of ground, because that could get confusing, and I can't remember what exactly happens, but it's not good. You want all your grounding to happen at one place, so you don't have 2 different paths for a fault current to happen. So anyways, got this. I actually did put a GFI on this just because, I mean, a lot of people think they're a pain in the ass, but I've been out here working in the rain before and had a cut in my extension cord. Luckily, I've always had things hooked up to a GFI, so it actually tripped, but it could have presented a very dangerous situation there. And since it's an outdoor receptacle, by code it has to be GFI protected. They cost quite a bit more. These outlets here are like $15 or so, and they do present problems, and they eventually go out quite a bit quicker than just a regular receptacle. But you can't put a price on safety. So got that set up. I'm going to close this thing up, and next project is finishing the trim on the metal roof. Well, mission complete. It is mid-December 2017, and we have got power at the tiny house. That's pretty exciting. I am here at the tiny house. I'd say about probably 700 feet back from the road, and I'm gonna plug in an electrical device here. We got power. Nice. Yeah, now things should start progressing quickly.